Do you feel like some of your efforts lately have been going nowhere? One of my favorite things about astrology is that it can tell us when things in life will move forward quickly and when they will slow down. Lately, we've had the backwards energy of Mercury retrograde and the eclipses bringing interruptions. So it might have felt like some of your projects and plans have ground to a halt. But now we are in the midst of some turning points. Jupiter is now direct. Mercury will be moving direct. We're in the rapidly changing season around equinox. The sun is moving into energetic Aries, and we have a brand new moon. Soon you will find that you can move forward and that things can go to plan. There will still be things to reconsider and sort out, but by the end of this week, you will feel more like progress can happen. Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to talk about the astrology, the energies affecting us for the week beginning Sunday the 15th of March, Monday the 16th, until the following Sunday. We've got 3 significant astrological events happening that are going to be changing up the energy and helping things to move forward in a more positive, certain kind of way. First of all, we've got the new moon in Pisces. Then we've got the equinox. It will be spring equinox in the northern hemisphere and autumn equinox for us in the southern hemisphere. And then we have Mercury moving forward, turning direct after its 3-week retrograde. So all of that is going to help us move into clearer, more certain energy where plans can be stuck to and we're not rethinking so many things. And to introduce myself, my name is Fiona of sunandmooncalendar.com. I am based in New Zealand or Aotearoa in the Southern Hemisphere, but this astrology is for the whole world, and all these astrological transits are affecting all of us. In this video, I'm going to go through the week's transits one by one so that you kind of know on a daily basis what's going on, and then I'm going to do a deeper dive with a sign-by-sign breakdown into the new moon in Pisces that happens earlier in the week. In the recent past, I've been doing 2 videos a week, but I'm doing other work a little bit more now, so I don't have time to do 2 videos. So hopefully this one is enough for you, and there is a sign-by-sign breakdown, so you can go ahead to your sign, which I know lots of you like to do. Just to let you know, I make calendars like this one for New Zealand or Aotearoa and this one for Australia, and right now I have just dropped the price of the calendars for the year. So this is a 2026 editions. They are now $20 plus postage in Australian dollars or $20 plus postage in New Zealand dollars. So you can go to sunandmooncalendar.com if you missed out earlier and you'd like to order one. Okay, and here is an overview of the main points I want to get across about this week beginning the 16th of March 2026. We will be turning around and moving forward, and that is because Mercury will turn direct this week. Jupiter turned direct last week. You can see my video about that blessed turnaround transit. We will have the sun moving into energetic Aries, and that is triggering the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, that big epic moment. Another video about that recently you can go back to. And we have a new moon, and after a few days after that new moon, there'll be new energy in the air. So lots of moving forward energy, and as well as that, we have a seasonal change. We have the equinox, and this is as the sun moves into Aries. And what I love about the equinox is that whether you are here with me in New Zealand or Australia nearby, or you are on the other side of the world in the northern hemisphere, for all of us at this time, the sun is right over the equator, and we have the night and the day of equal length. So we're the same in any part of the world. It's this balanced time. In the northern hemisphere, that is your spring, and you are bursting forth towards your summer and the height of the solar year. And for us in the southern hemisphere, we are in that closing down, that waning phase of the solar year as we head towards midwinter. All right, so we are just coming to the end of this lunar month of Aquarius, and see those last 3 days there? That's what we've got at the beginning of the week, and there's the grid just showing what part of the lunar month we're in. And then we're moving into the lunar month of Pisces, because on the 18th or the 19th we'll have the new moon in Pisces. So there we are here, and if you see those yellow lines there, that's showing the last 3 days of Mercury retrogrades. Here is an overview of the week. All right, so this is what we've got, the waning phase, and I've done this big green line to show where it's the new moon and we start on the new lunar month. So these are the transits I'm going to look at. First of all, a reminder that last week Jupiter stationed direct, so we are likely to see in the outer world in a manifested way more blessings, more opportunities opening, more expansion, and a bit more confidence and optimism in life. So we are just recently into this. And now we're going to talk about Venus square to Jupiter. There's 3 transits that happen on the day of the new moon. Depending on where you are in the world, it will be either the Tuesday or the Wednesday. Oh, hang on. No, the Wednesday or the Thursday. All right. So on Wednesday, the 18th, or Thursday, the 19th of March, Venus is square to Jupiter. Okay, and Jupiter is the ruler of the new moon, so it's pretty exact on the same day. So Venus is a benefic planet that brings blessings and pleasure and enjoyment of life, sweet times. And Jupiter is an expander, an energy of expansion and optimism and luck. So these two together is quite lovely. We will likely feel confident and lucky and expanded and generous. Because it's a square aspect, take care to avoid going too far. Actually, I can see this is the middle of the night in New Zealand, so for most of the world, the energy will be we'll be feeling this on the Wednesday, the 18th of March. Okay. And now looking at, so after that, we have the Sun sextile Uranus. Right? So the Sun sextile Uranus, the Sun is about our creative expression, our confidence, the ways that we take leadership in the world and lead others with charismatic energy and shining out brightly in the world. So wherever your Sun is in your chart, you have that kind of energy. All right, but Uranus is an energy of sudden changes, rebellious energy, wanting things to be woken up and fresh and new and active and zinging with new ideas that can be out of the box, quirky, unconventional. All right, so fresh ideas will come into the spotlight. The Sun might have the will and the leadership to take up with those ideas and try them out. This just lasts for 1 or 2 days. It's a supportive aspect, so we'll see how that goes. And then looking now at the new moon in Pisces. So all 3 of those are on the same day. You can see on the slide there for the new moon in Pisces some of the exact times for some main cities around the world. The new moon is at 28 degrees and 27 minutes of Pisces. This is what I said about it in the calendar. So the new moon in Pisces is return to intentions for creativity, spirituality, and compassion. The new moon is where Saturn and Neptune have recently been, and Mercury is still just retrograde. So in some ways with this new moon, we are going back over some stuff because Saturn and Neptune were just grinding through these late degrees of Pisces very recently. And also Mercury has been retrograde in Pisces, making us go over some of this Pisces stuff, okay? And it's at the very last degree, so it's like we're finishing off some things in Pisces. Nevertheless, it is still going to feel like moving forward with this new moon. So this is the main topic of this video that I'll go into more depth with later and do an all signs breakdown about this new moon in Pisces. And then moving forward to the day of the equinox, that might be Friday the 20th of March or Saturday the 21st of March, depending on where you are in the world. It's the autumn equinox in the southern hemisphere, spring equinox here. Happy birthday to the Aries sun people, because you guys will have your birthday coming up over the next 30 days or so. And as I said before, we have the balance of life and the new energy, because even if you are in the southern hemisphere, if you follow the Western tropical astrological system, this is the beginning of the astrological year. So lots of energy for starting new, for going out and getting what you want, the energy of spring really. Even though we're in autumn in the northern hemisphere, of course you've got that spring energy coming back to your lives and the blossoms bursting everywhere. You will feel like getting out of the house and getting into the world and doing a bit more. Aries is so energetic and direct and goes after what it wants. And then not long after that, we have Mercury turning direct. So that is going to make life easier, our communication, our planning, our analysis, our organization for many things in life, and our logic, and even our chatting and enjoying humor. All of that can go more smoothly and in a more straightforward way. So congratulations, you survived that 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde. Over the next few weeks, Mercury will be going back over those degrees from 8 degrees of Pisces until 22 degrees of Pisces. And you can be finishing off anything that came up during the retrograde and sorting things out and moving forwards. Okay. So I wrote in the calendar, Mercury's revision period is complete. Plans will go more smoothly, and the next one is in July. Okay, and then at the end of the week, on Saturday the 21st or Sunday the 22nd, we have Mars trine to Jupiter. Oops, I've got the wrong words there. Okay, I'm back now and I have corrected that slide. So Mars trine to Jupiter, this is an aspect that is really enhancing the new moon in Pisces, because Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces. So Mars is in Pisces. It's helping us want to take action, to stand up for the less fortunate, compassionate action. But just in general, wherever Pisces is in your chart, the new moon's enhancing that and energizing it, and so is Mars. And this is a supportive aspect for focus, determination, and energy. And then finally, at the end of the week, the Sun will be conjunct Neptune, triggering or activating that Saturn-Neptune conjunction that we had recently. And you can go back and see my video about that. That was an epic thing that happened astrologically, and it's reflecting these really big changes in the world that have been going on and will be unfolding. Okay, so with the Sun conjunct Neptune, these are the sort of things that you can think about. How can spiritual ideals, dreams, and empathy shine in the world? How can you take leadership with those? Saturn is very close by, so soon in the next few days, the Sun will be conjunct Saturn, and that will help us to think seriously about how we can realistically make some of those goals and dreams, and for leadership, for the ways that we shine and express ourselves in the world, how to make those realistic and practical. But with the Neptune conjunction, it's a time to be idealistic, to dream big, imagine into being what you would love to see in the world and in your life. Anyway, it only lasts for 2 or 3 days, and then the Sun will move on to Saturn, where we can get realistic and practical. So all of these are helping us to move forward. The Mercury direct, the Sun moving into Aries and the equinox energy, and Mars trine to Jupiter, and then that Saturn-Neptune conjunction being activated. And looking at some of the upcoming events in the next few weeks, at the end of March, we will have Saturn sextile Pluto. That is activating the mini grand trine between Saturn and Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus, that's little triangle that's really making the world move forward very quickly. These outer planets are so slow moving, so how often would they ever make this little triangle? Not in thousands of years, and that's what we are living through now, and that is one important moment on that. On the 1st or 2nd of April, we have the full moon in Libra, and then in the later, sort of 3/4 of the way through April, we have some of the other planets activating the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and then at the end of April, Uranus will move into Gemini. So let's talk more about this new moon in Pisces and go into more depth with it. A new moon is the time when the sun and the moon join together, conjunct in the sky, and the moon is in front of the sun. It's between us on Earth and the sun. Is not exactly in line with the sun because that would be an eclipse. That would be a solar eclipse. That happened recently in the sign of Aquarius. That was the last new moon. We've just come out of eclipse season. They're just a little bit off the rest of the year when we don't have eclipses. Not quite in line, but to all intents and purposes, the moon is with the sun. We can't see the moon. The sun is far too bright. And this represents a new phase. Okay, so the energy has come down. It has actually slowed down in the waning phase of the moon, and then it comes with the sun, and it's like a time of pause and consultation, consulting with your inner self, consulting with your higher self. You just pause a little bit in your project. So instead of galloping off onto new things, wait for a few days while it's that new moon time, or just 3 or 4 days just before and after the exact time of the new moon. I recommend that when you see the first crescent moon in the sky, you can get started again with initiating new things, sending out the messages to invite people to whatever it is that you want to do with them. Get started, and in that quiet time is a good time for you to set intentions, to be going within a little bit and thinking about things that you want to do, that you want to achieve in the next lunar month, and then get moving on that once you can see the new crescent moon in the sky a couple of days after the new moon. With Pisces, the new moon in Pisces, we have one every year, a new moon in Pisces around about this time. Pisces, the positive side of Pisces, the wonderful expression, the higher expression of Pisces is all about connecting with the all-loving, the everything in the universe. Everything is connected, everything is boundless. You, me, we are each part of the everything that there is. And with that, we can access the wonderful, wide, broad creativity of all the universe. So Pisces can be a very creative sign in a very kind of mystical, ephemeral, magical kind of way. And also Pisces, with that unconditional love and acceptance of everything and all that is, and the connection with everything, can be wonderful at healing, especially healing things to do with the heart and soul, emotional healing. And that is because it accepts everyone and forgives everyone. It has great mercy. This is a wonderful thing with Pisces: mercy and compassion, understanding. And because of that, Pisces can be a wonderful champion of the underdog, a wonderful champion of others who are less fortunate. Okay, so charitable work is a wonderful thing to do with Pisces, and healing is a wonderful thing. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, which has just turned direct, so this is a really positive start for this Pisces energy. And Jupiter is about expansion, and once again all that is, and also about higher wisdom and truth, and doing things in an ethical, righteous way. Pisces is also ruled by Neptune. That is the modern ruler of Pisces. Neptune is very mystical. It's connected to all that boundless energy, including everything in the whole wide universe, unconditional love. Everything is part, every one of us, we are all part of the whole. And Neptune is very creative, like bringing out wonderful mystical music and storytelling and imagination and idealism and romance and even glamour. And Neptune also rules the sea. So Pisces is a water sign with watery emotions. The downside of Pisces, if we get too into that Pisces energy, we can just be too lost in all the boundlessness. Too lost, excuse me, end of summer, there's flies around. Too lost in trying to include everything and consider everything and not knowing where the edges are. And we need some of that solid Saturn energy. Pisces is boundless. And we can just lose our boundaries too much. We can escape too much into our imaginations and our dreams, and we can escape from reality too much. And so Pisces can be prone to addiction and just running away from things, escaping, like running out the door and going for a walk instead of staying and talking with your family when a serious talk needs to happen. Okay, one little example. Pisces can also be have trouble with boundaries in relationship, like giving too much, and also with emotions. Pisces can be a very emotional sign, and it can be hard to contain those emotions at times. And another challenge for Pisces is the tendency to act and feel like a victim, not accepting one's own responsibility and power in a situation and wanting to be rescued by others, and sometimes also over-rescuing others. So there's that tendency there. Overall, though, Pisces has wonderful gifts for the world, and this new moon will be bringing some of that energy. All right, the gifts of compassion and acceptance and unconditional love and charitable acts and feelings. The gifts of, yes, empathy, creativity, and connecting with the universe and bringing some creativity from the universe and stories and imagination and dreams here into this earthly realm, which could certainly do with some lovely magic of that nature. All right. And there's a great healing energy with Pisces, with that acceptance that it has and the recognition that we are all one. Let's look at the chart of the new moon in Pisces. So you can see the sun and the moon together at 28 degrees of Pisces, very near the end of Pisces. 28 degrees. So the sun is just about to move into the sign of Aries, and that will be the equinox. And then it's going to join up with Neptune. Also in Pisces, there is Mars right in the middle there, and there is Mercury just about to finish its retrograde. And this one here, that's the eclipse point, and that's the north node. And on the other side of the chart is the south node. And when we have the sun and the moon forming a new moon or a full moon near either of those, that is when we have an eclipse. But we are now just out of the eclipse season in terms of this new moon is not an eclipse because the sun and the moon are just a bit too far away for that to form an eclipse. All right. And you can see this triangle here. This is the triangle I've been talking about, the mini grand trine that is formed between Saturn and Neptune and Uranus over here and Pluto. And this new moon is certainly an activation of the mini grand trine because it's very close to Neptune. It's right in the spot that Saturn and Neptune have been very close to each other over the last year, over 2025. And so something about this new moon is reactivating some of those themes that have been coming up in the last year. There's still some work to do there, and it is going to still feel like we're moving forward, but there's a little bit of going back with that and figuring something out and making some new start based on that wisdom. Okay. And we've also got, with that new moon, this very close sextile with Uranus. So as I talked about when I talked about the transits for the week with the sun sextile to Uranus, that could bring some energy of freshness and awakening and a desire for innovation, even new technology, and more comfort with being unconventional and original, and authentic. So that's pretty cool. This is in a helpful kind of a way. All right. And then also the moon's ruler. So there's two rulers with Pisces. There's the ancient ruler Jupiter, still very much a useful ruler to work with, in fact necessary to work with. And Jupiter is trine to Mars. So Mars is coming up in the next week or so to being in a trine with Jupiter. So that's adding energy and focus with in terms of how we want to expand and move into new opportunities. So that's fantastic. And at the same time, as I mentioned in the weekly transits, Jupiter is, and I haven't shown it here, Jupiter is square to Venus. So Venus is there at 15 degrees of Aries, halfway through Aries, and Jupiter, very, very recently direct, is at 15 degrees of Cancer. So this is where it's a little bit of this energy of maybe don't try and go too far, but you might want to go too far. You might be really full of that Aries direct cardinal energy, wanting to do things and meet with people and make good teams together. That's the Venus side of it, and enjoying all of that. And Jupiter with its expansive optimism, just be careful not to go too far with it. So that was the chart of that new moon in Pisces, and here are the main points I want to get across, and this is what I'll be focusing on in the sign by sign breakdown. Okay, so on Wednesday the 18th or the 19th, Thursday the 19th of March, we have a new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces. This is a new beginning that's part of a bigger, more epic and more long-term journey. A new moon is for the next month. A Pisces new moon is normally for the next 6 months until we have a full moon in Pisces, but because it's triggering off that Saturn-Neptune conjunction and all these other outer planet formations, this is part of some bigger journey and bigger story that is unfolding over years and decades. There is some ground to go over again. That's because of Mercury going back over its ground in the sign of Pisces, where it has recently retrograded, and because the new moon takes place at the end of Pisces, where Saturn and Neptune have recently been. But progress will happen. So let's now look at each sign, starting from the sign of Pisces. If you are Pisces sun, moon, or rising, but especially Pisces rising, this new moon is happening in the late degrees of your sign Pisces. Every year around about this time you have a new moon in your sign. It's a new start for you. It's a new start for how you are in the world. Everything to do with your life, in fact. Your relationships, your home, your career especially, but any other aspect of life. It's how you see the world, your identity in the world. There's some new start there, and at the same time it's going over all those incredible developments that you've had over the last few years with Saturn going through your sign, restructuring everything about you. And when I say about you, I also mean me, because I am a Pisces rising, so we've restructured ourselves. Saturn has moved out now, Neptune has moved out. So we're back to being ordinary again, Pisces, in a way, without those two in our sign really activating and changing everything about us and our lives. Do you feel that? I feel like I've changed so much in the last few years, and I don't quite know who I am now, but it's an interesting journey, that is for sure. This new moon is going to set off some new activation to do with those themes that have been developing, and it'll be a new start, and in general things are really looking up for us because our ancient ruler Jupiter is now moving forwards, and that's going to make things easier. There's new opportunities and blessings going to be coming along in the outer world, so not everything is all about this big serious stuff, so that's cool. The sun is the ruler of our sixth house, of how we give service in the world and our daily routines. The moon is the ruler of our fifth house of how we have fun in the world, our children, our self-expression, creative projects. So these two might be coming in. And we've also had Mercury over the last 3 weeks going backwards through our sign, making us rethink even more who we are in the world and our relationships and our home. But now Mercury will be moving forwards and things will feel clearer and easier. I need to tell this to myself because I've had some challenges with it. I've had to do a lot of journaling lately with all of this. So that's what I've got for you, Pisces. There's been lots going on, and I think after this new moon it will feel easier, especially with Jupiter and Mercury moving forwards. So all the best for that. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and remember you can go to sunormooncalendar.com to order a cheaper copy of the 2026 calendar for Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand. It's now $20 plus postage. If you are Aries sun, moon or rising, but especially Aries rising, the new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces is happening in your 12th house. This is a house of the parts of your life that are more hidden from the world, where you're kind of in retreat or even escape. So this could be like where you just come home and flop on the couch and do something for yourself, or watch some TV, watch some stories, read some imaginative dreamy book or story. It can be about escapism. It can also be about places that are more removed from the world, like hospitals, care homes, resorts, even going away, far away to a distant place on holiday. So your 12th house is where you're hidden from the main parts of your life. It's an area of dreams. It's an area of sleep and a quiet time where you kind of connect with everything that there is in the universe. And if you're not into seeing things in that kind of way, it just could be your escape from the world. But it is a place of dreams, and it is a place where it's known as a house of our self-undoing, and in terms of like there can be patterns that come up from our ancestors or from deep within us, our patterns of behavior and ways of doing things and beliefs that we need to undo and unravel and try and let go of so that they don't sabotage us, because sometimes the 12th house can be about that. It's also a house of creativity and spiritual connection, especially those kinds of spiritual practices and creative things that you might do more when you're alone and away from the world, or even if you're with others, they're people that aren't part of your main life. Okay, so there's some kind of new beginning here, but at the same time, it's going over some old ground where Saturn and Neptune have been shaking things up for the last Saturn for the last 3 years and Neptune for the last 14 years actually. And Mercury has also been retrograde in this house, so maybe there's been communication delays to do with hospitals or even prisons or care homes or retreat centres, something like that. Or maybe where there's been some addictive pattern or some pattern of escapist behavior, and you need to rethink that. What am I doing? Am I doing the right thing here? And with Mercury going forwards and with the new moon, it's likely that you'll get clearer about what you want to do with any of these and move forward in a more positive way. Okay, so all the best for that, Aries. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and if you'd like to order a 2026 copy of the Aotearoa or the Australia Sun and Moon calendar, it's now $20 Australia or $20 New Zealand dollars plus postage, so go to sunandmooncalendar.com. If you are Taurus, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Taurus Rising, on Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 19th of March at 28 degrees of Pisces, there is a new moon where the Sun and Moon come together in your 11th house, as happens once a year. This represents a new start and moving forward, especially with Mercury going retrograde in this, going forwards now finishing its retrograde in the same sign, and this is to do with your 11th house of your friendship groups. It's also a house of rewards from your career and a house of your long-term goals. And there's been so much energy in this 11th house over the last few years with Saturn and Neptune there, and then in the last few weeks with Mercury retrograde. So you've been restructuring your long-term goals. You've been restructuring your friendship groups. You've had communication issues or delays over the last few weeks with things to do with your rewards from work, but certainly long-term goals and friendship groups are things that you want to aim for in life with people who are like-minded. All right, so with the new moon, with Jupiter moving direct, with Mercury moving direct, you will be able to move forward with more clarity, with new energy. There's some themes coming up that you've visited before in the last year with Saturn and Neptune having been there recently, but overall this will be new energy, moving forward more clearly and enjoying that with the new moon. I will also add, Taurus, that the sun is a ruler of your house of home and family, your family of origin, your ancestors, and the moon is a ruler of your house of neighborhoods and siblings and brothers and sisters and communication and small business connections, trade and exchange, and learning. So there could be some of the energy of those things that come into your long-term goals or something to do with your friendship groups. And Mercury is the ruler of your second house of money, and it's also the ruler of, let me think now, Taurus, your fifth house of fun and romance and dating partners and creative projects. So the ways that you have fun, your hobbies in life. So any and all of those themes or topics could come into that 11th house of your long-term goals and your friendship groups. So enjoy that, Taurus, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and you can go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your Australia or your Aotearoa 2026 edition of the Sun and Moon calendar. It's at a reduced price now for the year of $20 plus postage. If you are Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Gemini Rising, on Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 19th of March, the new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces is taking place in your 10th house of career. So this means some kind of new start in your career house. And it's going to be marking some of the ending of the confusing time, the time of restructuring, the time of sorting out communications and maybe even your career direction. You will be having more clarity about that after this new moon. Mercury is your Gemini. Mercury is your ruling planet, and Mercury is turning direct just after that new moon. So that's also going to help you move forward in terms of all of you, all of your life, because Mercury is your ruler. But Mercury has done that retrograde in this house of Pisces, your career house. So there's been something about you and your career, your job, your work, what you're known for in the world. Even if you're not paid to do this career, it's something that you have status and a reputation for doing this thing. Maybe even you have a plan to leave a legacy behind. But over the last few weeks, you've been rethinking all of this. And then over the last few years, your whole career has likely gone under some restructuring with Saturn going through that house. Maybe a career ended, or maybe you're starting something new. But it's still been confusing because there's been Neptune there as well. And there's all the other planets have been going through there. So lots of focus, but not clarity yet. But after this new moon, it's likely that you will get more clarity, especially with Mercury moving forward and the ruler of the new moon, Jupiter, moving forward. So all the best for that. Gemini, please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. The Sun is the ruler of your third house of neighborhoods, communication, and siblings, trade and exchange, marketing. And the moon is the ruler of your second house of your money and your finances. So those topics might come into this new moon, all right? But mostly it's a good new start in your career house. So like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your Australia copy or your Aotearoa New Zealand copy of the 2026 calendar. It is now reduced to $20 plus postage, so that is a good deal for the rest of the year. If you are Cancer, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Cancer Rising, on Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 19th of March, there will be a new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces. This is your 9th house, Cancer. The 9th house is about your higher learning. It's about travel and adventure and exploring the world and your belief systems. What do you believe in? How is that organized in your mind? And this whole area has gone through some massive restructuring over the last few years with Saturn and that sign of your beliefs and your travel and your expansion in the world in many ways. And also you've had Mercury going backwards through that sign over the last few weeks, so bringing some confusion to your travel plans or your higher learning and whatever essay you've been writing. Maybe you've had to rewrite your assignments if you're doing some higher learning. The 9th house can also be about a guru, somebody who gives you advice about the spiritual principles in the world. And so maybe there's been some rethinking and restructuring with that. With the new moon, there's a new start in this area. So something could come in that feels like a positive new start for your spiritual beliefs, your belief systems, your religion even, or for your travel plans, or your connections with people from other cultures, even your beliefs about life, your philosophy of life, how you understand that the world works. So there's a new start there. The 9th house is a lucky house, so that's really cool, and it has been confused over the last few years, but that will be becoming clearer with Mercury moving forward and this new moon. Okay, the sun and the moon are meeting up with the new moon, and the sun is the ruler of your 2nd house, of your finances, and the moon, Cancer, is your own ruler. So that is extra significant for you whenever there is a lunation, a new moon or a full moon. Okay, and Mercury is the ruler of your 12th house. Again, that's to do with foreign travel. It's also the ruler of your 3rd house of neighborhood connections, and so there could be that kind of theme coming in. Okay, maybe you meet some people who are from far away country, but they're living in your neighborhood, for example. Okay, but mostly this is a new start. Things will be getting clearer, and that is really neat. In a house that is a lucky house, Jupiter's moving forward, the ruler of that house, in your sign, Cancer. So you're getting all these blessings with Jupiter bringing you expansion and opportunities and luck, as well as this new moon in your 9th house. So all the best for that, Cancer. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and you can go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your Australia or your Aotearoa New Zealand edition of the 2026 calendar. It is now reduced to $20 per calendar plus postage. If you are Leo, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Leo Rising, on Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 13th of March, there is a new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces. Leo, this is in your 8th house. There's a new start. It's part of a bigger, more epic journey because there's been so many new beginnings in Pisces, and we've got the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries, your 9th house activated. But let's talk about your 8th house, where this new moon is. The 8th house is about shared resources with your partner. It can even be about shared power with a partner, even shared intimacy. But the kind of partner we're talking about, it could be an intimate, romantic partner that you've got a committed relationship with, or it can be a business partner or anyone that you're doing a lot with on a one-to-one basis. Okay, but we're talking about the shared resources here, the money that you share. This can also be a house of investments. So it could be like large amounts of money, like inheritances or investments. Or retirement savings even. So some new start in this area. And the eighth house can also be about where you delve into your deeper psychological layers, all right? And going down deep. Underneath everything to do with the eighth house is power and how you share power with another. Okay, and sometimes you need to go down, down, down into those deep layers and transform in a painful way at times in order to understand your own power. And maybe there's been some of that in the last few years with Neptune and Saturn at these late degrees of Pisces just recently, and also with Saturn on its own just restructuring that area of your eighth house. So you might have been redoing everything with your partner's finances and all of that. And recently, Mercury has been retrograde there, so there's been confusion and communication errors and delays and blockages. All of this is going to be moving forward more easily once Mercury turns direct in a few days, and you've got the new moon and starting to bring you some more clarity about how you want to move forward in this area of life. So sort out your finances. Work on some of those psychological layers. Maybe you have a breakthrough with your counselor. And the eighth house can also be about occult matters and divination practices. So maybe there's a new start to be had there and enjoyed there. So all the best for that, Leo. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. And you can go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your Australia edition or the Aotearoa New Zealand edition of the 2026 calendar. It is now at $20 plus postage. If you are Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Virgo Rising, on Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 19th of March, there is a new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces. Your seventh house of relationships has a new start. This is your one-on-one relationships, whether that is with a committed partner, like a life partner or an intimate partner, or it could be a business partner or anyone that you work with on a one-to-one basis. Over the last few years, this area of your chart, your relationships have gone through some real challenges and changes and restructuring as Saturn has been grinding through, and then we had Saturn and Neptune almost conjunct around about these degrees. So this is something new based on some themes that would have come up in the last year with Saturn and Neptune being there. But you'll be able to move forward with more clarity, especially as in a few days after the new moon, maybe it might even be a day or something like that, Mercury will be moving forwards, and Mercury is your ruler, Virgo. Actually, I think it's 2 or 3 days that Mercury moves forward after the new moon. Okay, and so Mercury is your ruler. You've had 3 weeks going back over things. This is to do with all of your life, Virgo. So you've had a lot of focus in that relationship house, even more than the other signs, because your sign, your planet, Mercury, has been going backwards through that house, reviewing, revising, finding mistakes and errors and problems. And now you can move forward, okay? And there might be still some sorting out to do, but it will feel a lot more like there's progress. And there is this new start, all right, in those late degrees of Pisces, especially if you're Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising towards the later degrees of Virgo, all right? So all the best for that, Virgo. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. And if you want to order an Australia edition of the Sun and Moon calendar for 2026 or the Aotearoa New Zealand edition, it is now at a cheaper price of $20 plus postage. So all the best. If you are Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Libra Rising, on Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 19th of March, there is a new moon at 27 degrees of Pisces, and this is in your 6th house, Libra. This is your house of how you give service in the world. how you work on a daily basis to look after your body and your health and your life admin. So your daily routines around the house and your daily service as you go to work and you're working at that job every day. Even if you're paid for it, this is still service. You have tasks to do and you are contributing to the world in some way. Okay, so this area of life has been so under reconstruction for the last while, with Saturn going through there, restructuring it, and Neptune going through and meeting up with Saturn, not quite but nearly, at these late degrees, just where the new moon is. So some of the themes that have come up in your area of life where you give service and your daily routines for health and hygiene and exercise and nutrition, they might have all been thrown up in the air, or there's been these big questions and restructuring. With the new moon, you'll get some guidance, some new start in any of these, all right, in any of these areas. And so you might feel like you can move forward in a more clear way, even though the themes from last year and in the recent past will come up again, but you'll be able to work through whatever's needed and make progress. So that's really neat. And the ruler of the new moon is Jupiter, and that's in your 10th house moving forward, and so your career will be bringing opportunities, and that might relate to your daily work as well. Okay, the sun is the ruler of your 11th house of your gains from your career, and the moon is the ruler of your 10th house with about your career. So there's lots to do. So I think that the new start is likely to be something to do with your job, because there's lots of career stuff in there, especially once Mercury turns direct a few days after the new moon. So a new start, moving forward, making progress with your daily work and your routines for health and exercise, Libra. So please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and all the best for that. And if you'd like to order an Aotearoa or New Zealand or an Australia Sun and Moon calendar for 2026, they are now at $20 plus postage. If you are Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Scorpio Rising, on Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 19th of March, there will be a new moon in the sign of Pisces at 28 degrees. This is your 5th house, Scorpio, so there's a new start for you in your 5th house after a few years of some big restructuring of your 5th house, with Saturn having gone through there, and in the last few weeks of some communication delays and blockages, with Mercury having been going backwards through there. The 5th house is about your romantic life, your creative life, your creative expression, and the kind of expression and creative stuff that you do that is really heartfelt and you love it. It's fun. And it's also the house of your children. So maybe there's been problems with your children and delays to do with anything to do with any of those areas. That will be turning around now. And with the new moon, there's a new start that can come a few days afterwards. Mercury will be moving forward in that house. More clarity, more progress, more feeling satisfied about that. And I hope for you, Scorpio, more fun in your life, because the 5th house is really fun. The new moon is in the late degrees of Pisces, where Neptune and Saturn were recently grinding through and stirring up some trouble. So some of those themes of the last year might come into this new moon, but mostly it will be about a new start and making progress and having determination as you do it, because one of your rulers, that is Mars, is also in Pisces, lending Pisces that great strategic determination that you've got, Scorpio. So you will be confident, determined, and strategic with your dating life, your children, and with your creative projects. So that's awesome. So all the best for that, Scorpio, and please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. And if you are in Australia or Aotearoa, New Zealand, you can order a 2026 Sun and Moon calendar. They are now at $20 only plus postage. If you are Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Sagittarius Rising, on Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 19th of March, there is a new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces, and this is in your fourth house of your home and family, your family of origin, properties that you own, people that you live with, the house that you live in. Okay, there's a new start there. The new moon represents a new beginning, though there could be some themes coming up with it that came up last year as Saturn and Neptune were grinding through these points, Sagittarius. So maybe causing problems there as they went through, or maybe just bringing new ideas. But Saturn was certainly restructuring this area over the last few years. Also, in the last few weeks, you've had Mercury, the planet of your partner, actually, going backwards through this house. So maybe there's been some issues with your partner in the home. Are they going to live with you? Are they not? Some kind of question like that. And Mercury will be moving forward a few days after that new moon, and that's all just going to add to the clarity, the forward momentum, and the progress. This new moon, bringing that new start for your home life, is ruled by Jupiter, because Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter, and you are too, Sagittarius. You are ruled by Jupiter, and I would like to remind you that it's of great benefit to you that Jupiter is now, as of last week, moving direct. That is helping you in all of your life. You can see my video from last week about that. But it's also helping this new moon and blessing in a way, but making more expansive and providing more opportunity for this new start that's in your home life, in your home, or even family of origin and ancestry. So something about that. So all the best for that, Sagittarius. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and you can go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order an Australia or an Aotearoa New Zealand edition of the 2026 calendar. It is now reduced to $20 plus postage. If you are Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, on Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 19th of March, there is a new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces. This is in your third house, so there's a new start for you and something to do with your neighborhood, your local learning, your traveling around your neighborhood and community, or something to do with your siblings or other relations like cousins, aunties, uncles, all of that. All right, nephews, nieces. Okay, so this new beginning is part of a bigger, more epic journey, because Saturn and Neptune, your ruler Saturn being one of those, were recently together at these late degrees of Pisces, very close to each other, grinding through. Requiring that you restructured something to do with those areas of life, your neighborhood, your community, the local learning that you do, the schools in your neighborhood, trade and exchange and marketing and social media. Any of those have had a lot of trouble and challenges over the last few years, and opportunities as well, but it hasn't been easy. And you've also had in the last few weeks Mercury going retrograde in this area. So there's been communication delays and blockages and things that needed to be sorted out and rethought, like thinking through things, reviewing. So all of that is going to become easier as Mercury turns forward a few days after the new moon, and the new moon itself will bring some kind of new start. I will also mention, Capricorn, your ruling planet Saturn is now merrily working its way through Aries. I think it's up to 3 degrees or something of Aries by the time this video comes out and by the time of the new moon. So congratulations, because you're moving into a new part of life, and you've got Saturn in your fourth house of home and family, your ruling planet. So it's neat to see you're finally moving away from Neptune, and you'll be able to operate more strongly once you're out of that confusing time with Neptune. You're still under it now, but it is moving forward, and you'll be out of that soon. So all the best with the new moon, Capricorn. There's some ground to go over again, some themes that will come up again, but mostly this is about progress and forward movement and new beginnings. So please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand edition of the Sun and Moon calendar. It is now reduced to $20 plus postage. If you are Aquarius Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Aquarius Rising, on Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 19th of March, there's a new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces, and this is representing a new beginning for you in your second house of your finances, your income, your earnings, your positions, your resources, the material things that you need in the world to sustain your beautiful body in the world, Aquarius. So that is a new start for you, and this new start probably comes as somewhat as of a relief, because you've had Saturn and Neptune bringing confusion and the need to restructure this part of your life over the last few years. And then in the last few weeks, there's been Mercury going backwards in this area, so there's been even more rethinking to do, delays and blockages. After Mercury turns direct, a few days after the new moon, that will become all much easier. You can move forward with more clarity and move forward without the delays happening. And the new moon itself in the middle of the week will be bringing a new beginning in this area, maybe a new income stream or a new way of earning money or a new position or new source of resources in your life. So all the best for that, Aquarius, and please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. It's getting exciting for you because, well, there's two things. Your ancient ruler, Saturn, has now well and truly moved into Aries, and so it's out of this area. It's out of Pisces. It's starting to get away from Neptune, and Neptune's probably been making you quite confused with its conjunction with Saturn over the last couple of years. And then the other thing that's very exciting for you, Aquarius, is that your modern ruler, Uranus, will be moving into Gemini, and it's going to be so zippy and zingy in Gemini. That happens at the end of April, so you're building up to that. Wow. Anyway, please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. All the best for that new moon in your second house. And if you are in Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand, you can order a Sun and Moon calendar for 2026. It is now reduced to $20 plus postage. There we go, everyone. Enjoy that new start that is coming your way this week, and the better energy for progress and moving forward, with Mercury moving forward, and of course Jupiter turned direct as well last week, and you can go back and see that video. But I think things are going to be easier after this for a little while at least, and of course there's lots more happening in astrology. There's always stuff happening, but it is a relief to be out of Mercury retrograde and to be out of the eclipse season. So all the best for that. Remember the Pisces-in strengths of creativity and music and dreaming and imagination and idealism and compassion, and try to avoid getting into any victim mentality or doing too much escapism or forgetting about the important boundaries that we need to operate well in life. So all the best, and I'll see you in another video.